I called the Despair the dark horse of week 6 as I was expecting it to be not only powerful but also interesting. And you know what? Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into the Incarnon Despair. I'm going to have an endgame setup simply because these Incarnon Adapters are not exactly new player friendly. That said, I'm still going to be going through everything that you need to know. What evolutions to pick, how does a build look like, and what kind of performance you can expect. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the Incarnon Despair. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Incarnon Despair is a secondary thrown weapon, and secondary thrown weapons in Warframe haven't really been all that relevant since forever. But as soon as you install the Incarnon Genesis adapter, you're gonna be getting yourself the fancy new crosshairs that changes configuration as soon as you go into aim mode. And with any headshot, not body shot, you're gonna be getting load on that loading bar right underneath your crosshairs. You can go Incarnon form with any level of load. And in Incarnon form, the weapon changes functionality and appearance as well. It's still a secondary thrown weapon plagued by the same issues: accuracy, travel time, drop off, all of that stuff. But when the weapon makes contact with a target or a surface, 1.5 seconds later, you're gonna be getting yourself this big bada boom explosion. Now, what you need to understand that this explosion is not documented anywhere, not on the wiki, not on the weapon stats page, essentially nowhere. So what follows next are my observations based on testing. Take that with a grain of salt. The range of the explosion is gonna be 4 meters, and prime fulmination or fulmination does increase that range, and the damage drop-off seems to be roughly 50%. The damage of the explosion, exclusive heat damage. So that already spells a pretty interesting combination. Outside of that, you're not gonna be getting yourself a huge charge. What you're looking at, 20 maximum. This is your maximum charge. And yes, you guessed it, this, my friends, is a true blue carpet bomb weapon. The first evolution simply enables the transformation. At level 2 you got a very interesting choice. This one is called Stalker's Vendetta, and you're gonna have to have the Dread and the Hate equipped in order to access the full functionality of this one. 60 base damage, multi-shot consumes ammo directly from capacity and increases damage by 100%, and an additional 30% multi-shot. I tried this one, it is functional as long as you have the Dread and the Hate equipped, and the weapon burns brightly like a comet for a couple of seconds before you gotta go back to normal form, recharge, reshoot, and so on. This is definitely an option you can go for if you want the optimal maximum amount of burst. We're not gonna be going with this one today simply because you gotta go back to normal mode all that often, you gotta aim for headshots with a projectile-based weapon, and I know you guys are not a fan, and also I know that a lot of you guys do not have the Dread and the Hate. And you know what? It may be outstanding burst damage, but at the end of the day, you are asking for the entire loadout when it comes to weapons in order to activate this talent. It's a pretty big ask. Fatal Affliction is not bad. Increases damage by 50 instead of 60, and 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target. You see, this puppy is a little bit iffy. It doesn't seem to fully apply its bonus damage. It's not just this talent, but this type of talent in general. It's not horrible, but there you go. At level 3, these are the usability talents. First up, you got Marksman Focus, minus 30% zoom. If you hate zoom in Warframe, if you can't aim with it, then you gotta go for this one. The other option is Swift Deliverance with 50% projectile flight speed. This time, we're not gonna be going with the projectile flight speed. What we're gonna be doing is going for Rapid Reinforcement, 100% reload speed, and this one will affect the transformation of the weapon. Especially if you're gonna be going for the Hate and the Dread, and for the maximum amount of burst with Stalker's Vendetta. As for the final talents, take a look at these. 24% status chance with elemental balance. Take a look at the damage of the weapon. You got impact, puncture, and slash, but this, my friends, is a projectile making contact with a target in Incarnon form. You don't have any stats on the explosion, but as observed, it's purely heat damage. And that's a good thing or a bad thing depending on your point of view. Also, most of the damage of the physical type is going to be puncture. I don't really want to proc a whole lot of puncture. Next one is the balanced approach, 12% critical chance, 12% status chance. This is definitely not a bad idea, especially with the talent at level 1. And when they will fix it and the 40% direct damage will actually apply correctly, if it does apply correctly. And the final one is gonna be 18% critical chance and 0.4x critical multiplier. And considering we're gonna be playing this one into raw damage, go for critical parallel. And that's how you reach 48% base critical chance with a 3.4x critical multiplier, and apparently this one applies to the explosion as well. Now, in case you're a newer player coming into the game and somehow you manage to get the Despair, congratulations, don't sell it, because this one doesn't really drop all that often, not like the Dread, for example. This is not a new player-friendly weapon. A thrown weapon by itself right now in Warframe simply isn't all that good. Forget about this one. You want a great new player weapon or a newish player weapon? Click the cards right now. Leave the Despair alone for the time being. As for the endgame setup, we're looking at something like this. We're going to be using a whole lot of multi-shot with galvanized diffusion. I tested galvanized shot. It does not apply its damage benefit to the explosion, as you might expect. We even have flat damage on this one together with a faction mod. Yeah, the two can coexist. If you do not like faction mods, you can plug this one out and replace it with lethal torrent. One of the issues that I do have with the weapon is the fact that it's a little bit sluggish in actual gameplay, annoying. And if you go for lethal torrent, your fire rate goes to 5.33, and in Incarnon mode is gonna be going to 4.8. Especially if you're gonna be hitting something like Steel Path Circuit, the tougher enemies there that you need to worry about are called frags. So it doesn't really matter if you got something against the corrupted, only the fodder enemies are corrupted and they're gonna be dying regardless. Other options? Well, that's kind of it. You can also go for prime heated charge. Not a bad idea. You're going to be getting tons and tons of heat procs from the explosion, which is why Cascadia Flare is going to be your best in slot. Honestly, there's a lot of flat damage on this one, but we are going for raw damage. You should use the 90 mods to form your elemental combo. So essentially, this transforms into corrosive and heat. As for critical chance, yes, you want the 200% one instead of the 187, because that's going to make a huge difference. I wouldn't make that sacrifice. 13% crit chance for 20% loss in fire rate. Again, the weapon does feel sluggish by default. We're gonna be testing out the weapon like so you can see how she performs. Then we're gonna make a couple of changes here and there, because this is a high riven dispo weapon, and you know what, Despair rivens even now are super cheap, so you can get one as well. I'm gonna charge the weapon right and quick like that. Oh man, it's so much better when it fires quick. Yaha. And it wasn't charged then. The weapon was not charged there, you didn't have your full stacks and all whatnot. My friends, this is a true blue carpet bomber. Honestly, the experience and gameplay with this one is amazing. Now granted, you don't have a lot of charge with it, there is that, so you can go back to that level 2 talent and make the bigger bada boom burst if you want to. I don't think it's actually worth it. I'm over bombing. I don't need to bomb this much to kill these targets. So you can hold off on your explosion, because the damage this one deals is absolutely sky high. Granted, there are no slashes here because you can't get slashed. There's no guarantee impact, so I can use hemorrhage or something of the sort to get some slashes out of it. So if I can get slashed, then I'm just gonna brute force my way through the targets. Essentially, it's quite the powerful weapon. Now I'm gonna put on this faction mod just because I want you to see what difference it makes in gameplay not being able to fire that quick on the same targets as before. Charge up the weapon. You see? It's a bit more sluggish. It's not a terrible experience per se, but honestly, the streamline experience in Warframe, I put a lot of value on that. A weapon is not enough for it to deal a whole lot of damage. It also needs to be streamlined. It needs to be fun, because if it's not fun, then what the hell was the bloody point to begin with? So there you go. You can go for a faction mod instead, because yes, mathematically speaking, the faction mod is better from a DPS perspective than Lethal Torrent. But I like Lethal Torrent, so we're gonna be using Lethal Torrent. Let's talk Riven mods, actually. What Riven mod should I go for? Well, multi-shot as per usual is skin, critical damage, of course, considering the critical stats of the weapon. You can also get an element, it's not a bad idea. You can get a tad fire rate, though that would be kinda wasteful. Oh, I didn't tell you, Prime Fulmination obviously works, like I mentioned before. It sends the radius of the explosion to about 6 meters, and considering that the damage drop-off that I observe is roughly around 50%, this one offers the great benefit. You can take this one off and replace it with Lethal Torrent as well. It's entirely your option. Now, for a Riven setup, we're gonna be going like so. There's plenty of flat damage on the weapon, I don't need more than that, and we're gonna go with this one. I know what you're gonna say, dude, critical chance, multi-shot minus fire rate, why don't you go for that one? This one, without any additional fire rate, makes the weapon so sluggish, I don't even wanna play with it. We're gonna go like so. Same targets as before, the level 165, Corrupted Heavy Goons. Fully charge. Keep in mind I have no charges of the oh, beautiful, beautiful, no charges whatsoever of galvanized stuffs, but now I do have my galvanized stuffs. In gameplay, it's a joy to play with this one. I don't even mind charging it as often as you need to because it is a true blue carpet bomber. I haven't had this much fun with a secondary weapon since the static ore. You guys remember the static ore? You gotta remember the static ore. What a fun weapon that is. It's still a fun weapon. It's just not an effective weapon. You know what that means, right? We should definitely get an Incarnon static ore, because why the hell not? And a sonic ore too, because why not? Oh, the explosions will knock you back. Yes, these are explosions you will be getting knocked back, so prime sure-footed will be definitely a thing. Now, I do believe that's enough of standing still targets. Still back time. As for the XL slot, you can go for something like lethal momentum and 40% projectile flight speed. Obviously, this will improve the streamline experience of the weapon. Steady hands is pointless because this one doesn't really have any recoil. You can also go with prime ammo mutation if you feel like you're running out of ammo in missions, which to me didn't really happen all that much. Now, I want you to see two gameplay examples. One, the way I'm saying you should play, and the other one, the oh, I'm so greedy and I want all the damages numbers. That is with the level 2 talent that relies on the rest of the stalker weapons in order for it to activate. So this is the normal way, something that I would recommend. Simply play with the big bada boom explosions. Don't overdo it with the explosions. You don't need a quadrillion explosions on your target. A single headshot, look at that, full charge. Nice and easy, no problem whatsoever. If you can make contact with the kunai, that's fine, but if you can't make contact with the kunai, forget about it. I think that is the capture target. It's here somewhere and it should be nice. And are you here? There you go. So much for the capture target. Obviously, I can kill these targets all day long, and I'm gonna kill a couple more just so you can see how the weapon performs. I'm gonna pretend like my Revenant is affected by explosions and jump into the air. Yes, I am cheating with Revenant, and I will do so again because I love this Warframe, and you should too. Fantastic Warframe, definitely farm this guy. Look at that, a couple of headshots. Already killed the corrupted heavy goon, but now once again I get the carpet bomb to my heart's content. Like so. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, fine, 4 normal targets, but what about those fancy acolytes? Can it handle acolytes? Haha. I have no idea. Let's find out. I do believe, my friends, there was a flash there. There was a flash. Hashtag the flash. Mania. There we go. This Mania. I think it's. There we go. This Mania. I think it's there. Burn to a crisp. You should take note of one thing, however. I think I didn't have the Cascadia Flare stacks there. That was pretty quick, pretty impressive, pretty good, but I don't think I had Cascadia Flare. I'll see that on the replay with you fantastic people, because this is one of the issues with not building heat on the weapon. Even though the explosion will consistently get you those heat procs, when you go to normal just to charge the weapon a bit, you might lose your Cascadia Flare stacks. So going from prime heated charge directly on the weapon is definitely not a bad idea. Now let's change a couple of things up. Picking up Stalker's Vendetta, and we're gonna go to a survival steel path versus Corpus because I want heavy duty density, but I don't want to hit the infested because they basically fold like paper. Not that the Corpus are very tough. So let's see how the gameplay loop will be with that one. Check this one out. Beautiful, fantastic, but I go out of ammo really quick. I can charge it back up quickly as well, as long as I manage to get a headshot or two, and that reload speed really helps out with the incarnation of the weapon. That is the actual transformation. I'm back to normal again, gotta get a couple of headshots. So you tell me in the comment section down below, would you be cool with something like that? Would you be cool playing like this? Because you know what, if you get a little bit of practice at it, it's not so bad. It's not so bad, so you can go for something like this. I don't think it's worth it, but it is your option at the end of the day.
Hey, kiddo.
Oh, shut up. How about a couple of Warframe buffs with a fantastic Lady Mirage Prime? Because you know what? Nothing says carpet bombing like Mirage's clones. Cross projection against heavily armored targets? A no-brainer. Simply go for the aura of your choosing. You don't need to go for this one necessarily. As for arcanes, honestly, just arcane acceleration alone. You don't need arcane rage. You can get a bit more crit with Avenger, even though this is massively overkill, because at least one of your arcanes should be for your actual Warframe build. Your energize, your armor, whatever the hell you use to get it done. Companion buffs? Well, you can use the Panzerfull Papala for a couple of vital procs, and we're gonna be going like so. We're gonna be spawning in the Corrupted Heavy Goons as before, and I still have that multi-shot talent. I still have the Dread and the Hate equipped, so that thing is actually active. Carpet bomb time. Beautiful, fantastic, but look at my charges, 50% already. I gotta go shot by shot and be careful because it consumes too much ammo and I gotta go back to normal and charge it again. It's kinda anti-fun. The burst is fantastic, but honestly, I recommend you skip that talent. Alright, gentlemen, let's draw some much needed conclusions. Like I said at the start, prone weapons haven't really been relevant in forever. Is the Despair now relevant? Oh, definitely. This is a fantastic gaming experience and a weapon that I highly recommend. Is it better than XYZ? I don't know if it's better than XYZ, and you know what? It doesn't really matter. This one packs one hell of a punch. It's a whole lot of fun, and the only issues it has is sustain and usability. Because yes, you do have to go back to normal form quite often. Then again, a single good headshot will mean you got back to full charge. Out of week 5, this is definitely one of the more interesting weapons, and I definitely love my experience with it. As for the Dread, you saw what happened to the Dread? You know what's up? You don't? Well, look at the cards right now. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below, if you want to suggest any particular type of content, like, hey, I would like to see this weapon review or that weapon review, and so on and so forth. You can also catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. There's going to be a link in the upper right portion of the screen right about now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.